So, look, if you had one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you wanted, one moment, would you capture it or would you just let it slip by? So before you lose yourself, we want you to stay connected with the Connect Show.
I am so happy to have you be a part of the Connect Show today. We want to help your business grow in 10 minutes by bringing on amazing speakers and guests who will share life-changing experiences with you to help you do business better. My business is Opportunities Knocking. I help coaches, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and leaders achieve social media consistency to help them increase business visibility through training, personal connections, and events.
Hello. I am Dottie Posto. I am a leadership consultant and a coach. I work with leaders to lead boldly and live balanced by reducing stress, reducing burnout, and creating the life they want without sacrificing any success. So I help teams lead, grow, thrive, rinse and repeat.
So it said repeat. I thought you were going to repeat the whole thing again. No, never mind. All right. So let's make this interactive. And Heike has a mic. What in our audience here today, we have a live studio audience and we appreciate it. So let's hear for the live studio audience. Yes, it's more than just the three of us clapping.
So
yeah, proven. What is your biggest marketing challenge right now? And before you answer, just kind of raise your hand and Heike will come over with the mic. Email marketing is hard and social media marketing is hard to navigate. Okay. So, when we look at the biggest marketing challenge, you're a social media expert. What are some of the things that you're seeing in navigating the social media landscape?
I think, when I'm consulting with other businesses, it's often they have unrealistic expectations. They want to see something grow by 7,000 in 45 minutes because they saw a video on TikTok. And I think it depends on your ideal client and what you're offering to them. So if you're posting on social media, are you just selling? If that's the case, you're probably losing the majority of your followers. They don't want to be sold to. They want to be educated. And I think that's a huge struggle, finding out exactly what to post. And there's so many tools available to help you with getting the post out there so you can stay consistent. But the what to post, I think, is really hard for people. And kind of like the question before, what do I email out? What do I post? Where do I post it? Where is my ideal client living? And those are all kind of questions that we work together to tie in to get the right answer so you're not wasting your time. I also think one thing I see, and that's a totally backfire, but when people are afraid of the consistency. So just because you may have 12,000 followers on your Instagram account and you're constantly posting educational material, but nobody's liking or commenting, it does not mean they're not doing the actions or doing the things you're telling them to do. So don't stop posting just because you're not getting a like. Some people are kind of embarrassed to like posts because they may not want their followers to see that they're researching something. So don't stop the consistency.
Yeah, I think what you said is making 4 deposits before you make 1 withdrawal.
Yeah.
It's a great method of being consistent with your social media. And like you said, that consistency, people may not comment on it, but you will see it later. It's like sales and marketing. What you do now, you'll see those results 60, 90 days later. And as you're doing them, you're making that post, you're doing all that thing, you're being consistent, you're waking up an hour early to put in that effort. And then all of a sudden you'll be at a networking event and someone will say, oh, I saw you were doing this, or I saw your post on that. And then you say, oh my gosh, it's worth it. And then you get that reinvigoration, right? I'm somewhat relevant. This is fantastic. So
the other suggestion that I had from somebody who is huge in list building and huge in courses, you might know who that is with those 2 clues, but said that emails, if you can direct them to somewhere else, direct them to a live, direct them to a video, direct them to your, direct them somewhere. So give them value and then get them to actually go somewhere and
take that action
and take action. and consume more of your content. Because now you need, it used to be like 7 and it's just the numbers are up. I don't even know what they are anymore.
I think I hear things like 20 touch points or something before someone will actually even speak.
I heard 16 and then I thought I heard 40.
Yeah.
It used to be 7 and times have changed, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Our first guest is Andrea Hubbert. Think of Andrea as your copywriting partner with a twist. She brings both a human touch and a cutting-edge AI capability to the party. It's a combo that ensures Andrea creates messaging that truly resonates with your audience.
As a keen observer of human behavior, it is always a wild ride when Andrea is helping her clients have a lasting impression of the right people. And today, Andrea will be sharing how we can make the media fall in love with us. Welcome, Andrea!
Hello, welcome. Hello.
Thank you.
Happy to have
So,
you today.
Andrea, same question. What is your biggest marketing, your biggest challenge that you see in marketing right now?
I like to call it the same sames.
The same. I'm writing that time. The same.
A little bit afraid to show their actual personalities and be unique and different and connect with their audience on the things that I think are most important, which are, your beliefs and your values and your idiosyncrasies and your quirks. Because, as we were talking about, that's what makes people want to connect with you. That's what you were talking about too. Like, if they don't know who you are, if they don't know what you stand for, what you stand against, what you believe, how do they know that they want to be a partner with you?
Absolutely.
That's what I see.
Absolutely. I would agree with that 1,000,000%. You have to be, people are buying into you, especially as solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, because there may be quite a few doing the exact same thing and they may resonate with your exact personality.
Right.
Need Andrea. That's who I need to write my copy. So it seems like media only wants to cover the feel-good stories. They have puppies or they're supporting a good cause. Is it possible to just get the media interested in your business?
Is it possible?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's possible. The media, the feel-good stories are the things that keep people tuned into the news, especially the TV news, right? Because there's so many bad things that happen day to day. However, they're always looking for stories. And I'll drop a truth bomb, and then maybe it'll be like the mic drop and we all go have breakfast. But that's right. The media doesn't really care about us. They really don't, right? They care about the stories and the pitches that we make that help them help their audience. That's the number one thing to remember. So if you're thinking about reaching out to the media as a small business owner, I say, yes, please do. They want to hear about you and their audience wants to hear about you as long as it's the right fit. And that's the most important thing to remember.
So who is their audience?
Well,
what is their audience seeing? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
yeah.
the Business Journal has, we usually large companies as their audience, whereas the Small Business Times are small businesses, whereas Milwaukee Magazine are probably more the consumers. So if you have a business that's, related to something consumer related, then that's probably a good publication. So it really depends on the publication, on who the audience is.
Amazing. Good. I think that's
So, Andrea, we are all about frameworks here on the Connect Show. Do you have some type of list or framework that you can share that will help our audience understand how to get the media to fall in love with them?
I just so happen to have one. Imagine. It's 5 parts.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. The first part, I'll just go through it quickly. The first part is creating that wish list. Exactly to your point. Who has the audience that I want to get in front of? So create that wish list. The second is, who's the right person at that publication? And I use publication generically. It could be print, TV, radio, podcast, whatever. Who's the right person at that publication for me to reach out to? What is of interest to that person personally, which is going to make them want to pay attention to my pitch for their audience? That's the third step. The fourth step is to figure out, okay, well, what is my actual pitch? Now that I have all of this intel, how am I going to use it to get coverage? And then the next step is to actually make the pitch. We can't forget to make the pitch.
So there's quite a bit to unpack with your 5 lists. So let's go through them one by one. And first with the creating the wish list.
Yeah. So the wish list is think about all of the places that you want to show up, right? Who has the audience that you want to reach? And this is traditional media as well as new media, like 20 years ago we said new media, right? But it could be traditional and non-traditional media. And make a list of 50 if that's what suits you. However, then rank it and prioritize it and go for the first 5. Because we can't pitch everybody and be good at a pitch. We're just then blanket pitching, and we may as well be a same, like I said before. So make it unique and think about who do I want to reach out to? What are the top 5 and start with them. And look at who their audience is, and they will tell you on their website, especially if they're a larger publication, they will tell you who reads them or who listens to them, what's the demographics, what are they interested in topic-wise, because they have things called editorial calendars, which actually are for advertising. But come on, we're smart people. We know how to look between the lines and say, oh, they're looking for advertisers for their home edition in September. I have a business related to something home-wise. I'm going to make my pitch for that publication. So
it seems so simple, but you really, I've never thought to analyze it that deep to see what they're asking for when to then go for them and be like, well, you might need this social media campaign during that
exactly
similar yet very different, right?
Aren't they nice to tell us?
Yes.
They're so helpful.
Yeah. And what happens after we create that list?
So after we create the list, then we need to start researching the right person at the publication. So, for print, it might be who's the editor of a special section, who's a reporter who covers this regularly. On TV, is it the producer that we want to reach out to? Is it the reporter, which typically we're not reaching directly to the reporter? The hidden gem in the newsroom, here's a little scoop. The hidden gem in a TV newsroom is the assignment desk editor, because that's the person who gets all the information when you send a press release or when you send a pitch to the newsroom. They're the ones who receive it. They're the ones who filter through it. They're the ones that bring it to the either morning or afternoon meeting, and that's how it gets discussed. So I would say make friends with the assignment desk, definitely. But it might not always be you might know of a reporter who covers specifically the area that you work in, or you might have a relationship with somebody who went from one publication to another. And so, we want to get the coverage. So we build the relationship so that we can leverage them. We're not using people, but we are leveraging our relationships, right? We're in a relationship business. So, but if you don't have that connection, then the assignment desk would be.
Great. So we have make your wish list. What publications, what media, who is really targeting your audience, the same audience. So that's always a first step, is really knowing who your audience is, and then figuring out who's already talking to them. And then secondly, I think to me that seems like even harder. It's figuring out who to talk to. So what happens after that?
And then once you figure out the right person at the publication, it's researching them. Right. So now we're looking at the website for the TV or radio or print or whatever. We're looking at the website at their bio so we can understand a little bit about them. We're looking at coverage that they've already done in a specific area that we're interested in. We're looking at social media, because a lot of times they will tell us, things about them personally, either organizations that they're a part of or cooking that they like to do. And if we're a chef or if we're in the hospitality industry, that might be a way that we can build a connection with somebody. We're looking at, we're just doing a Google search, right? Like if we know that we want to be in Rolling Stone magazine, we're going to do Google alerts for Rolling Stone or for specific writers or editors or whatever, and see what comes up so we can see if that's a hook that we can use to build a relationship. So the next step really is to learn about the person that you're going to be pitching, because these are people. And I think that's really important to remember. They don't owe us anything, right? And they're people. So we need to treat them like people. And we do want to build a long-term relationship, because we may want to go back to that publication, or they may change and they might go somewhere else. And we want them to take us with them.
Relationship. And don't post and ghost. Don't send them an email and run, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yeah. Or
At first, I thought you were talking about the organization, and really, it's about that contact person. It's really getting to know. So it is.
It is. Okay. The second step is the organization. The third step is, now that you know who in the organization, learn about them, because they're the ones you're actually going to be pitching.
Cool. And what's next?
Then the fourth step is to get your house in order. So get all of your materials together. Get your media kit, and your media kit is, your bio, and I like to say you have three bios, right? You have a long bio, a short bio, and a couple sentence bio, because you never know when you're going to need to use them, right? What are the photos? Either your logo, your headshot, and then maybe you have product photos or event photos or whatever that might be. What are some clips if you've already been covered? What are the best ones that represent you? And this is really important for TV, because let's say you are going to, the Channel 4 Wake Up News, right? Or whatever Wake Up News. And you do really well, right? And so you get that video clip and you put it on your press kit. And now let's say, several months or years later, you want to pitch Good Morning America. Well, they want to know that you're not going to be deer in the headlights on their stage. So getting the local,
yeah.
And also the local wants to be on a national stage too, right? So if somehow your clip from being on their broadcast gets on national, that's great for them too. And how much more are they going to want to bring you back to talk about something else? So the thing that I always say, and I probably should have said this in the beginning, is let's not skip local, right? We all have aspirations to be on a national stage, but local is how we're going to get national. There's not a lot of us who can go right to Good Morning America and get on. We're not going to get booked, right? We need to do our reps. We need to hone our message. We need to maybe make sure that we are able to be articulate and speak well on camera, or have conversation on a podcast, so that we have the evidence, so that when we do go to Good Morning America or Rolling Stone or wherever, they have the proof. They know that, yes, this is going to be a good story for our audience.
I love that you mentioned podcasts, because I think that's such a good way to get that practice of honing your message, saying it different ways, trying different things. And whether it's a podcast that does video, which some of them do and some of them don't. Some of them will post their audio to Spotify and in iTunes and whatever, but then they'll also post the video to YouTube. So that can be really helpful.
Being on a show like the Connect Show, coming and spreading your word and putting it everywhere.
Right. Yes, exactly. I really appreciate this framework so far, because I had a marketing coach who I spent a lot of money with. And one of the advices she gave me was this press kit and this media kit. And the other steps ahead of it weren't in there. Mm-hmm. And it didn't seem as holistic. It was, focus, dive in, look at mine, create something like this, which I get. And I think it's helpful to have the full perspective.
Yes.
Speaking of, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, the last thing about the press kit is then make sure that it's accessible either on your website and maybe in a downloadable, emailable format like a PDF. Because let's say you made the pitch, your story got picked up, now they're on deadline and it's 3 a.m. and they're not going to be able to call you. They can go to your press kit and get whatever they might need to finish their stories.
Absolutely. So that process is absolutely unbelievable, but we have one more step. What is the final step?
Yes. Guys, don't be afraid to make the pitch. And when I say make the pitch, that is actually, you've built relationship. You may have had contact with the person that you're pitching, and it's all great. But now you have to actually make the pitch, right? We got to now go into this, what you were saying, value, sell. Well, now we got to sell.
Right. You put all the value and the work into it. You do not want to let it go by being afraid to put that pitch out there, right?
Right. And so the pitch is probably going to be by email. And you might have a press release with it or not. A press release usually is when something is either very timely and you want to make sure they have all the details right away, because they might want to cover the story, but they might not need anything else from you. Or it could be something that's evergreen. So let's say it's about a book right? It's about your book, and they can cover that at any time. That's something that's evergreen. But the pitch part is what you send in the email to accompany the press release. That's the personal. That's where you're taking all that you learned and you're personalizing this pitch for this publication, and that publication. The press release will be the same. The pitches will be different.
So speaking of different pitches, what are maybe some examples of different pitches that you can give?
Yeah. So when you're thinking about TV, the most important part is, what is it going to look like visually? As you know, right? Like, what is it going to look like visually? And so you help them understand that, let's say the story is about a book. Let's just say it is about the book. Well, it's probably not going to be as interesting to come on and talk about your book and have a copy of the book there as it might be if your book, let's say, is about it's about a love story in Spain and food is a central theme of the book. Well, maybe your pitch is about a cooking segment where you talk about your book. Or maybe it's about, a Spanish thing. So maybe you give them a little Spanish lesson on the morning show and talk about your book, right? So it's what is it going to help the TV understand what it's going to look like visually. If it's print, it's what are the sound bites that they're going to get, right? So you tell them, I can talk to you about Spanish culture and about romance in Europe. I don't know. Or,
I mean, I'm loving this. I'm totally following.
Yeah, right? Like, and so they understand how to frame their story to get the best sound bites from you. If it's radio or a podcast, it's what's that conversation going to be? What are we going to talk about? And so you give them a couple of talking points, or maybe you give them some questions to ask you, and then they can better understand how that episode is going to play out. And in all cases, again, it's like I was saying before, don't be same. Think differently, like this. If this is the book that you're pitching, you obviously are going to go to the book editor or reporter for sure. But you might also go to the culture desk or whoever handles international things. Or you might also go to the person who handles food, the food critic, right? Because these are all opportunities to tie into your book that other people probably aren't going to make.
And you've done all this research and you've put all this research in, so utilize the research as the major point of the pitch so that you're actually seen, and they're not going to, here's another person with a book, and delete the email because they don't have time for it. But right, like you said, they have you talk about a segment about cooking paella. They might never come on here and cooked paella before. I'd love to have them on for that.
Right. And then you're just naturally talking about your book.
So how do we take all of this, the 5 steps, and how do we put it into action? We have these 5 steps. What can I do today or this week that's really going to make it happen for, I can make it happen for my business and our audience can make it happen for their business?
Think about the stories that your business has, right? Are there any key clients that you've taken on? Are there milestones that you've reached within your business? Are there awards that you've won? Are there partnerships that you made? What are the interesting stories? Oh, and anything economically based? Is that what I want to say? Sure, why not? That would be good for business editors, right? So think about the various stories that you can tell with your within your business, and then start building that wish list. And it's like connect the dots, right? These are my stories. This is my wish list, and who's gonna like what?
This has given me all the reason. I've never really thought to go pitch to media about my business or what I can offer or different product lines that I have, and even about the Connect Show, really. I mean, it has been done in the past, but to continue to move forward and put that research in, this is absolutely phenomenal framework.
I love this. And I think
absolutely.
Even if you've done some podcasts in the past, I think if you were to take this framework and use it for podcasts, even if, whatever type of media that you're looking for, I think it could be super helpful.
Absolutely. We will have your contact information is on the screen for anyone to get in touch with you. Do you have a preferred method of contact or any way we can support you?
School.
Yeah.
Email.
In this next segment, we are going to focus on the human potential with Kerrie Hoffman. Kerrie Hoffman works with exceptional executives to understand and apply new digital ways of working. so they thrive at the accelerated pace of 21st century business. She is passionate about business transformation, human potential, and getting as many companies as possible on their journey to the next age.
Kerrie is a #1 best-selling business author and CEO of Hoffman Digital, an ecosystem of companies igniting the human experience at work. She's like speaking my language. This includes certified executive coach at Focal Point and co-founder at Get Digital Velocity. I should have asked her how to pronounce this. Aramba AI, I hope that's right. Blue Bubble Living, and Blue Bubble Living. In addition, she is a keynote speaker at industry venues. Everyone welcome Kerrie Hoffman.
Welcome to the show.
Thank
So happy
you.
to have you today.
Happy to be here.
Absolutely.
We have our audience question for you.
Great.
What we want to know first, before we get into all the stuff you are such an expert in, which this is also part of that, what is your biggest marketing challenge in your business right now?
That's a great question. So my biggest marketing challenge is knowing whether or not my audience knows deeply about the power of the human mind. So where do I start? Do I start with the basics, or do I, go deep right away?
Those beginners,
Right.
those, am I educating them on the challenge, or are they already there and I need to take them to the next level?
Exactly.
That's a great.
A lot of times when you're focused on followers, I say do both.
Yeah. See where it goes, right?
Yeah, do both, because you're always going to help by drawing in new audience by bringing in the beginners. And a lot of times we forget that when we're talking about what we're doing. We think people know steps 1 and 2, but a lot of times they can't start at step 3 without 1 and 2. So I think that's a really good point. And a lot of people get stuck on that.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing with this topic is you don't want to scare people away with the deep part of it, because it's different. It's definitely different.
Our upcoming topic is definitely really hard for a lot of people, myself included, to know. A lot of people start on step 3 when it comes to AI. So we're currently in a time that AI is everything. You have a different twist, or are you really looking at human potential? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm really focused on human potential. People can go way beyond their perceived potential if they understand the power of the human mind. Now, at the same time, I'm a business transformer. I am a technology geek and proud to be called a technology geek. So for now, let's just say there are some amazing corollaries between things like quantum physics, AI, and the power of the human mind. There's a connection.
Right now,
I've heard you talk about going beyond AI.
Yes.
One of my taglines is beyond burnout, but she's beyond AI. Tapping into the superconscious mind.
Yes.
That's something I've not heard before. I'm actually going to a conference in Vegas on tapping and marketing to the unconscious mind.
Yes.
So that's interesting. But what is, you're saying that humans have a chance at outdoing AI?
Yes, humans have the chance of outdoing AI.
That's interesting.
So so it's interesting you mentioned the unconscious mind. That is also known as the subconscious mind. Subconscious, right? So everyone's capable of going beyond their perceived potential. Again, if they tap into the power of the human mind. I love AI. I use it all the time on a regular basis, but your brain is more powerful. And actually your brain is just a receiver. Your mind is more powerful than AI if you know how to use it.
Also, drop a little bit.
It is.
Because you're the one inputting the thought into AI to come up with more thoughts.
Right.
Really, right? Like,
Yes.
so I'll say for me, I use it as a brainstorming tool. I do not use it to write my blogs and stuff like that, but I will use it as a brainstorming tool of blog ideas, but I'm putting that initial effort in.
Right.
And then get irritated if I get back up. That is not what I was saying. Why did you come back with this? So you really need to go into your own mind to find the right info, right?
You do, and I love what you're saying because we do put the thought into AI, and I use it all the time. And I use it, again, as brainstorming and add on to it. We also need to make sure we're putting the thought into the different levels of our mind. So this is probably a good time to go into what are the 3 levels of the human mind.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So the first part is our conscious mind. This is the beginners, right? Everybody knows this. We're all aware of our conscious mind. It actually identifies, it compares, and it analyzes data. And then we make decisions based on that data. That's our conscious mind. It acts as a boss. Okay, it acts as a boss, but it only works while we're awake. All right? Part 1 of the mind only works while we're awake. Our conscious mind also is only about 5% of the power of our mind. That's it.
Still, every time I hear her, just like, seriously.
Yeah, because
We're awake, we're trying to do things, and it's 5% of what we have the ability.
and it's probably 95% about what most of us know is the conscious mind. We don't pay attention to the rest of it, at least not, in the age we're in now. So, and a side note, the 5% gets less if you have a strong ego. Because if you have a strong ego, you actually block the subconscious mind and the superconscious mind.
It gave me a way to go back to people with those big egos, like, let go of the ego and you'll be able to use more of your conscious mind.
Right.
Do you consider intuition the like sub or unconscious minds, part of that sub or unconscious mind?
Yeah, the intuition is actually a combination of the subconscious mind and the superconscious mind. So,
All right, we need to go to the superconscious mind.
I
hadn't heard of the superconscious mind before.
We're going to learn.
We're going to get there, but not until we talk about the subconscious mind.
Okay.
If we don't want to jump too far ahead.
Let's start with subconscious.
Okay, so the subconscious mind stores and retrieves information, and it obeys the commands of the conscious mind. So where I said the conscious mind acts as the boss, the subconscious mind acts as the subordinate. So whatever we're thinking about consistently, the subconscious mind is going to work on it. Now, the scary part of that is the subconscious mind works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if we're feeding it negative things and negative thoughts, it's going to go work on that.
And sleep. It's saying this is when I'm not sleeping.
It's also, our subconscious mind is also very influenced by our story, by our perceptions. It's where all of our habits come from. It actually runs unconsciously all of our bodily functions. That's the subconscious mind that does that. And most importantly, it has access to the superconscious mind. And for that reason, it is 95% of the power of the human mind.
Are we ready to learn about this?
I want to. I know. I mean, I'm sure. Has anybody in our audience raise your hand if you have never heard of the unconscious mind? Or the No. I wanted to hear first. The subconscious or unconscious mind. You've never heard of it? Raise your hand. Okay, you can't see this. No one raised their hand. We've all heard of that. We've all, heard some level of information about it. And you've given me some new insights to it. How many in the audience have ever heard of the superconscious mind? Ever heard of it at all? The superconscious mind? Raise your hand. One person. We have one person in the audience. And you notice Kim and I did not raise our hand. Never heard of the superconscious mind. All right, let's go.
Okay, so I think more people may have heard of it because it has many names.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So the superconscious mind also functions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's mostly beyond our conscious awareness. And that's because as humans, we've lost touch with it over the last 300 to 500 years for all kinds of reasons. So what is a superconscious mind? Well, it's also called the infinite intelligence, and it's called a lot of other names. So some people have heard of the infinite intelligence or the greater intelligence. Still not a lot, but some people have. And it's everything that was ever known or is yet to be. So this is where you have to open your mind and think a little broadly. Great inventors like Edison or geniuses like Einstein, they actually are known for understanding all 3 levels of the mind. And they tapped into the infinite intelligence to come up with a lot of their ideas and their innovations. If you read any books about them, you will actually read that they did this intentionally. So they were aware. And so they were consciously aware that it existed. So for everyone else, like, have you ever had an idea just pop into your head? Something just out of the blue.
Yes.
That actually comes from the superconscious mind through your subconscious mind and then into your conscious mind. So it comes backwards through.
So it's telling your conscious. Yeah, it's telling you need to think more about this.
Yes.
Think more about this right now.
Yes. And the thing is, everybody has access to it. So I can guarantee you if an idea popped into your head, that it popped into other people's head. So it's whoever acts on it that actually gets the invention or gets the idea.
I've heard of that before, that if you get an idea and you don't act on it, it's going to move on to the next person.
Not the only person.
The infinite intelligence, and I'm curious what other names there are, because I'm thinking that I may have actually heard of this. That creativity, and I think that what you said earlier, and if you're going to go here, you can cut me off. But what it made me think of is that if I have this superconscious, infinite intelligence idea, and it's coming through my unconscious, and I've been feeding that unconscious a bunch of negative, you're not enough, you're never going to do this, it's not working. Even if it's not the I'm not good enough or I can't do this, if it's the negativity of this isn't working,
You're filling a schema though with that. Like,
yeah, you're right. That unconscious is going to go, you can't do that.
Yeah,
well, and if you think about marketing, if you are constantly thinking, I don't have enough customers, that's what your subconscious mind is going to work on. That's actually what the superconscious mind will work on. And you'll get all kinds of synchronicities and things happening to lead to less customers because you're saying, I don't have enough customers. And so instead, if you flip that, you can easily just flip that to, I will have 5 more customers by the end of May. Even better, present tense, I have 5 more customers by the end of May. That's what you want your subconscious and superconscious mind working on.
putting those affirmations into they are going to happen or they have already happened.
It's almost
right.
The best way is if it's already happened.
Yeah.
That is the way to amplify it. That's the most powerful.
It's already done.
I have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember how many more questions we have, but I'm going to ask a question because I'm curious. I've also heard in some of the coaching programs I've been in that those, whether you call it an affirmation or a goal or a direction, you're pointing your superconscious mind in a direction.
Right.
That if it is too far, too big, your brain, whether it's the conscious brain or the unconscious brain, is going to go, that ain't happening. That it's just too big.
Right.
That you're actually, like, if you were to say, I'm going to have 25 clients, if you've never done anything like that before, I'm going to have 25 clients in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
That might you're working against yourself. And that's an extreme example, but I'm just curious.
No, but it happens. It happens. So this is another kind of angle on this topic of we all have saboteurs. We all have them. Everybody has the judge, and then there's like 8 other ones, and we usually are strong in 2 or 3 of them. So if you put an unrealistic goal out there, your saboteurs right away, your judge is going to say, that's not possible. And then ensues all the negative thinking, and then you're feeding your mind the wrong things. That's what's happening. We also have 5 sage powers, so we want to engage those instead.
Totally into this. I went to a class on this, and it was so cool.
All right, Dottie, we're going to circle back.
All right. Take over.
So our mind is super powerful. We use very little of it in day to day. I'm going to try to make my brain understand the 3 different minds, right? So do you have a strategy with like our strategies? Do you have a strategy to using this super?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And one of the characteristics to understand is our conscious mind and our subconscious mind are ours. The superconscious mind is everyone's. Okay. And our brain is like a TV antenna. It doesn't store the programs. Our consciousness stores the programs. And so the consciousness is actually, even our own consciousness is outside of our brain, which is getting a little bit into, sounds like woo-woo. All right. So what are the strategies? Let's get down to the strategies. The first strategy is making sure that we're managing our tool wisely, right? That's so important. So just do an inventory of your mind chatter. Are you mostly having negative thoughts, or are you mostly having positive thoughts? And if they're negative, instead of thinking about what you don't want, which is what unsuccessful people think about what you want instead. Because successful people think about what they want, and they have mostly positive mind chatter. So that's the first one. That's simple, right? Don't have to get into the woo-woo for that one. The second strategy is around connecting consistently with the superconscious mind, okay? And so great inventors, like I said, like Einstein and Edison, they did this deliberately. The real power of the mind comes into play when we spend more time in the present as opposed to the past or the future. And so we're going to get more into some techniques for that in a little bit. I just want to do one little side note here. People who are thinking that this is a bunch of woo-woo, there's actually a ton of science behind this. And one of the reasons I like quantum physics is because it is the bridge between science and consciousness, and even science and spirituality. So where we could, have all these arguments in the past about materialists and spiritualists, quantum physics brings it together, which is super cool.
So let's put this into action, because now I am all about accessing my superconscious mind to brainstorm ways to get the media to fall in love with me. So let's take this to the next step. How can we put this into action?
Yeah, let's go there. So there's some pretty simple ways to do that. Again, first, inventory your thoughts and making sure that you're flipping your negative thoughts to positive thoughts. I have to mention that again because it's so important.
I think that is really important. Really, really, really important to turn it positive.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing that we need to also say here,
Or say it's done.
you're never going to get rid of them.
Right.
Correct.
You will never get rid of them. And you have to bring them to awareness. You have to, I do a thought download every single morning. When I need to, I flip them, but there are, so I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Oh, and doing that first thing in the morning is super important. It gets into the second thing that you can do. And this is a way to amplify your goals. And so you amplify your goals by writing your most important 5 to 10 goals for the year every day. You physically write them. I'm telling you, it takes less than 5 minutes.
Sure.
Less than 5 minutes.
I do it.
Awesome. High five for that.
I think I'm on day 95 or 96 that I've been doing this.
That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
Because then I've got another practice that I do, but I keep track, but I write them out, and I've got about 5 of them that I write out every single morning.
perfect. And I do the same thing. So you could have one, to answer your question directly, you could have one that says, I add 5 new ways to get the media to fall in love with me by May 30th. Put a date on it.
Yes.
Right? Put a date on it too.
Yeah.
The last thing that I'll mention today, because we don't have a lot of time, there's tons of things you can do, but you have to find ways to be fully present in the present. And so what works is different from person to person. So a lot of times you'll hear one of the common ones is like meditation or mindfulness. I've actually been trained in meditation. Surprisingly, that's not the one that works the best for me, even though I actually know how to do it. It's just not in my nature. But being in nature, like physically out there in nature, I love camping, hiking. That is beautiful for me. Like I did that as a kid, and as a kid, I was probably more connected to the superconscious than I was in the middle part of my adulthood. And now I'm getting up there, so we can say that I'm wiser.
Sage.
Right. Well, I like to I'm really trying to get rid of negative and be more on the positive. And I like to say the past is done.
Yes.
Every day, whatever, if something is waking me up in the middle of the night, it's done. It's done. Today's a new day.
Well, and there's hundreds of ways to be present. Yeah. So the way I have people think about this is whenever they feel like they're in the flow and time is just melting away, like they have no concept of how much time has gone by, that's it for you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Could be music, could be art, nature, meditation, any of those.
Absolutely. So how can I make this habit a part of my daily routine or weekly, monthly routine?
Well, unlocking the power of the mind actually takes regular attention and intentional practice. Like you have to be intentional about it. So my call to action for everyone is first you have to believe in the power of the mind beyond conscious and subconscious, but also tap into that thing available to everyone, the superconscious mind. You have to believe it. And there's a lot of science behind it, and I have some resources for people on the science behind it in case they're not there yet. It's okay if you're not there yet. I get it. It's like a lot of woo-woo. Second is to create some regular rituals. So we've talked about some of these already. These are regular practices to keep you presently aware more time than you are not presently aware. I mentioned some of these already. I did a post yesterday on LinkedIn that's about morning routines, because in the morning is a state called alpha state. And it goes through all the states in the post, but in that state, our subconscious mind is more open to our conscious mind. And also, you're more open to the superconscious when you're in alpha state. That's easy. It's 45 minutes upon waking and 45 minutes before you go to sleep.
And I've heard, tell me if you agree with this, that it's if you can do it before sunrise, that's even more powerful.
Oh, interesting. I haven't heard that, but I can see where that could be.
It's like what do they call it?
It's the twilight stage.
There's something about, and also I will tell you, getting your eyes in sunlight, no glasses, no contacts before, while the sun is rising, so powerful. Good for your eye health, good for your whole.
It's a better way to wake up than to a jarring alarm.
Yeah. So what do you have coming up? And I think on the screen we'll have all the ways that they can get in touch with you. But do you have any special events or anything coming up?
Yeah, actually, I am turning the mind power material that I've been researching for a long time into an online e-course. And it's not up yet, but I am making a statement that I am going to get it up by May 1st. So if people want to email me, you can get 50% off if you sign up before it's up there.
It sounds great. I look at Steve's writing it down. I'm gonna get it off the screen. So thank you so much.
This has been awesome, and I for sure am gonna follow up with Kerrie, because this is my jam. I love this stuff.
Yeah,
and so many more questions that we could go on for another hour.
Absolutely.
We'd have to bring you back.
Sounds good.
It's been wonderful. This has been a great show. We had Andrea talking about how to get seen and how to get noticed and how to get, the media to fall in love with you. Awesome 5 steps to do that.
I love bringing the media into it. And then you tapping into your 3 different minds really correlates into that, because if you're kind of in that negative mindset and I can't do it, why would any of the media attention want to bring you on? I'm sure you could be portraying that, not even know it.
The card that I got, she and I were at a short little conference a couple of weeks ago, and we pulled a card from, I don't remember the name of the deck. I don't know.
It was sassy.
It was a really sassy deck. The name of the deck was really sassy, but the card that I pulled was, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will.
Well, and a lot of times my executive coaching clients say, well, I can fake it. You know what? People can sense.
Yeah.
Even if you think you're really good at faking it, even if they're not consciously sensing it, they are subconsciously.
Yeah, exactly.
What an amazing show.
All right.
Absolutely.
Kerrie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give her a round of applause.